Well, we're so blessed and honored to have you on our live, and thank you for doing this. You look gorgeous, obviously.
Hey!
Look at us two. We're a happy married family.
That's so cool.
Cool question. Did you see this coming?
Oh, no.
I think that I've grown during this period. I've appreciated things. You just even being able to have a bed to sleep on is so important to me. And
yeah, I definitely feel protective of her. I don't want her to lose it. I don't want her to, go through anything I went through. I don't wish that.
I
like to strip it down. I like to strip it down to just, me and my guitar player. And, but, I like to perform in general. I like performing better than I like recording in the studio.
Do you feel that there's an energy that comes from an audience?
Yeah, and I think that, all the effects they put in my voice and it's not like raw. I like to, perform and have it, sound like me.
Do you believe that it's kind of something that just happens in the moment? I mean, that one concert's only going to happen at that one time. And so, hey, if your voice is a little crackly that day, that's just the way it is?
Today I had a cold and, I was just trying to fight through it. And I'm still, fighting through it. But, some days you're going to have a cold. Some days you're going to have the hiccups in the middle of performing.
Have you had that? Have you had hiccups?
One time I got my throat got really dry. I was like, trying to perform.
Yo, what's up, Pandora? I'm Benny Blanco.
And I'm Justin Bieber.
And you're listening to our new song, Lonely, right now, which I'm really excited to share with you. So go listen to it.
Coachella might look perfect on your feed, but behind the scenes, this year, it's been complete chaos. We're talking about people getting stranded just days before the festival, influencers being invited and then suddenly cut off, and prices getting so out of control that even basic rooms are starting to feel like luxury purchases. And the craziest part? Most of this didn't even happen during the festival. It all started before it even began. Everything looked normal at first. People had their outfits planned, their trips booked months in advance, and everything seemed locked in. Until suddenly, it wasn't. Out of nowhere, people started waking up to messages that didn't make any sense. Their Airbnbs canceled. Not weeks before, not months before, but literally days before Coachella weekend. Imagine booking something back in September, thinking you're safe, and then getting hit with a message 5 days before the trip saying it's gone. And at first, people thought it was just bad luck. Maybe a mistake, maybe a one-off situation, but then more and more stories started showing up. Different people, different bookings, same exact situation. Hosts canceling, and then relisting the exact same properties for way higher prices. Sometimes double, sometimes triple. And suddenly, it didn't feel random anymore. It started to feel intentional. People online were furious, because this wasn't just inconvenient, it completely destroyed plans. Flights were already booked, outfits bought, schedules arranged, and now people were scrambling, trying to find anything available, but that's where things got even worse. Because once those cancellations started happening, prices went insane. And not just a little bit. We're talking about places that normally cost around $60 a night suddenly jumping to $800, sometimes even more. Over 1,000% increase. And the wild part? People were still booking them. Because at that point, they had no choice. Even the most basic options turned ridiculous. Tiny spaces, trailers, random last-minute listings, all being sold for thousands of dollars for just a few nights, and it completely changed the vibe of the event. What used to feel like something people could plan and save for started feeling like something only a certain group could actually afford. And people noticed, because it wasn't just about music anymore. It was starting to feel like access itself was being sold to the highest bidder. But while fans were dealing with all of that stress, influencers were going through a completely different kind of chaos. Because getting invited to Coachella used to mean one thing: you're in. Everything's handled, flights, hotels, access, all set. But this year, that system started breaking down, badly. There were multiple influencers who shared that they got invited to brand trips, went through the process, confirmed everything, and then suddenly got hit with an email saying, "Never mind. No explanation, no backup plan, just gone." And it wasn't happening weeks in advance. It was happening right before the event. which made it even worse. Because at that point, you've already told people you're going, you've planned content, you've mentally locked it in, and then suddenly, it disappears. And the reaction online, people were not holding back. A lot of them were calling it unprofessional, saying brands should never over-invite if they can't follow through. Because once you give someone that expectation, taking it away hits different. But even that wasn't the worst situation, because one story took things to a whole different level. One influencer thought everything was finally coming together. They turned down earlier offers, then got a better one. VIP tickets, flights, hotel, the full experience. So they said yes. Everything got booked. Everything looked perfect. Until one detail fell apart. The tickets. Because after everything was confirmed, the brand just disappeared. No response, no updates, nothing. So now they're stuck in this weird situation where they have flights and a hotel, but no actual way into the festival. Imagine traveling all the way there, being right outside the biggest event of the year, and not being able to get in. It sounds unreal, but it actually happened. And moments like that started exposing something people don't usually see: how messy the influencer side of these events can actually get. But just when it felt like the chaos couldn't get any bigger, the festival itself added even more drama, because when the set times finally dropped, people immediately noticed a problem. Actually, multiple problems. Big artists, scheduled at the same time, not close together, but on completely different stages, which meant one thing: you had to choose, and not casually choose. We're talking about situations where if you stayed for one full performance, you had almost no chance of making it to the next one in time, especially if you wanted a good spot. And fans were frustrated because this happens every year, but it somehow felt worse this time. The distances, the timing, the overlaps, it all forced people into decisions they didn't want to make. And while some people said it's done for crowd control, others weren't buying it, because from their perspective, it just made the experience more stressful. Instead of enjoying the moment, people were constantly thinking about what they were missing somewhere else. And that tension didn't stop there. Because once people started looking closer at the lineup, they noticed something else that didn't quite add up. Some of the biggest names weren't being treated like headliners, at least not in the way people expected. One major artist performed earlier in the night, instead of closing, which confused a lot of fans. Because usually, if your name is at the top, you're ending the night. That's the moment. But here, that wasn't happening. And then there were the rumors. Whispers about surprise performances, rehearsals being heard near the festival, artists possibly holding back certain songs, saving them for the main stage. Even smaller shows happening before Coachella, which raised questions about how that was even allowed. Because normally there are rules about performing nearby before the festival, but somehow people were finding ways around it. And all of this started to make things feel less like a perfectly planned event, and more like something being adjusted in real time, which led people to start asking a much bigger question. What is Coachella actually about now? Because if you look at everything happening, it's hard to ignore the shift. The music is still there. The performances still matter, but they're not the only focus anymore. Now it's about content, exposure, brand deals, status, who got invited, who didn't, who's staying where, and how much it all costs. And for a lot of people, that changes the entire experience. Because what used to feel like a festival now feels more like a system. One where access is limited and everything comes at a price. Even opportunity, even visibility, even the chance to be part of it. And the shift didn't happen overnight. It crept in slowly, year after year, price after price, until one day people realized this wasn't the same Coachella anymore. And yet, if you open social media right now, you wouldn't see most of this. You'd see perfect outfits, golden sunsets hitting at just the right angle, crowds jumping in sync like nothing's wrong, influencers laughing, posing, living what looks like the perfect weekend. Because that's the version people post, that's the version that gets likes, that's the version that goes viral. But behind those clips, there's a completely different story. One filled with last-minute cancellations, sky-high prices that force people into impossible choices, and plans falling apart just days before everything starts. People refreshing apps non-stop trying to find a place to stay. Others stuck outside the festival after spending thousands just to be there. And some quietly dealing with the disappointment of opportunities that disappeared overnight. No aesthetic filter shows that part. No highlight reel captures that stress. Because the reality is, for every perfect post you see, there's someone just off camera trying to figure out what went wrong. And that contrast, that's what's making people question everything, and a lot of people trying to figure things out in real time. So the real question isn't whether Coachella is still popular. It clearly is. The real question is what it's actually becoming, and whether the experience people see online is even close to the reality anymore. Because this year, that gap might be bigger than ever. And maybe that's the part no one really wants to talk about. Because if the image doesn't match the reality, then what are people really chasing? Is it the music, the moment, or just the idea of being seen there? And as things keep getting more expensive, more exclusive, and more controlled, it starts to feel like Coachella isn't just something you attend anymore. It's something you either qualify for or get pushed out of. But hey, that's just what people are starting to notice. What do you think? Is Coachella still about the experience, or has it turned into something completely different? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear your take. And if you enjoy breakdowns like this, where we go beyond the highlights and actually look at what's really going on, make sure you hit subscribe, because there's a lot more stories like this coming soon.